Welcome gamers, prepare to dive deep into a universe of unbridled action and pixelated mayhem as this countdown presents the top 12 games similar to Doom. Over the next few minutes, you'll journey through dystopian wastelands, neon-lit corridors, and ancient cursed temples where every title twists the classic Doom formula in its own electrifying way. Expect explosive vehicular combat, relentless retro-style shootouts, and arenas that pulse with high-octane energy. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or a newcomer eager for chaos, this countdown delivers unfiltered brutality and tongue-in-cheek humor. Now get ready to conquer the digital battlefield. Rage 2 is a high-octane, post-apocalyptic shooter from Avalanche Studios and ID Software that combines explosive vehicular combat with intense FPS battles in a dystopian wasteland. When you jump into Rage 2, you grip your controller tight and hit the accelerator, tearing through a ruined freeway as twisted metal glints in the dying light. Man, this world bites hard, the game seems to say as you slide past a barricade. Your ride screeches, a wild blur of paint and sparks, and when you punch the gas, the engine roars like it's daring you to push harder. As you spot a cluster of deranged bot patrols ahead, you can't help but laugh. Time to turn chaos into art! And you fire off a barrage of rockets. The explosions send shards of steel dancing across the barren wasteland, with every burst feeling like a slap of reality that you can almost taste. The digital horizon blurs into a mesmerizing mess of color and carnage. When a stray bullet zings dangerously close, you realize Rage 2 doesn't do subtle. You veer into a narrow alley of crumbled concrete, where each step rattles with rebellious glee. Skidding to a halt before a graffiti-splattered wall, you catch your breath while surveying the chaos, and the game declares, "This isn't a stroll in the park, it's a demolition derby with style." As a rival racer roars by with sparks trailing in his wake, you hear the call, "You call that driving? Watch and learn." And every explosion and burst of wild laughter drives you further into this unfiltered experience. If you thought that wild demolition derby set the pace, just wait until you see what happens next. Proteus melds retro pixel art with modern graphics, delivering a neon-soaked, explosive experience where classic shooter elements meet fresh digital brutality. When you load Proteus, the retro carnage unfolds as you dive into a neon-soaked corridor where crumbling gothic arches meet pixel perfection. You feel the raw energy in the air as every step cracks open a mosaic of violence and vivid color. Man, this is a pixelated symphony of chaos, you might think, as the character barrels through the gloom, with every corner hiding a new breed of pixelated nightmare. The walls drip with digital gore, a vivid reminder of past glories reimagined in razor-sharp clarity. As you duck behind a fractured stone pillar, a demonic horde charges with eyes pulsing like arcade tokens, and you fire off a scatter of bullets with a staccato rhythm that matches your heartbeat. Boom! That's how we do it! Rings out over the sound of exploding pixels that echo in your ears. The pounding soundtrack drives every adrenaline-pumped moment as you weave through twisting corridors, sparks flying as laser beams slice through the darkness. Each monster you dispatch bursts into a shower of retro sparks, a nod to classic shooters, and you can almost hear the challenge. Ever wonder what it feels like to be in an old-school arcade on steroids? As you edge closer to a massive, flickering altar whose pulsing light invites you to witness unspeakable horrors, you steady your aim, your heart racing, as the next wave of foes crashes into view in a pixel-perfect battle of survival and mayhem. Hold on to your controller. If that neon symphony got you hyped, an all-out assault on your senses is about to follow. Ultra Kill, developed by RC Hakita Patala, is a brutal, retro-style shooter that fuses fast-paced, arena-style action with a heavy metal aesthetic for an all-out assault on the senses. As you load Ultra Kill, you dive into a blood-soaked blitz of digital carnage. You barrel through hellish corridors with a soundtrack pounding like an endless war drum while demons surge from every shadow. Laughter erupts as you unleash your arsenal, ripping through the chaos with the cry, "This is pure, unfiltered mayhem." Your fingers dance over the controls as you weave between charging fiends, unleashing rapid-fire bullets that spit death in quick succession. Sparks burst where metal meets carnage, and every explosion paints the darkness with violent hues. Skidding around a broken pillar, you launch a cascade of shots at snarling demons, and with a roar of, "Catch me if you can!" every calculated move surges with thrill. A barrage of headshots scatters digital gore like confetti as you dash through the carnage, your adrenaline fueling every rapid-fire moment. The battlefield roars as you chain combos, the screen flickering with every savage hit, and the command, "No mercy in this wasteland," reverberates as you ride the pulse of combat like a live wire. Every split-second decision explodes into a spectacle of raw power that leaves you in awe. Buckle up! The relentless fury of Ultra Kill is just warming up for what comes next. The Citadel is a retro-inspired shooter that delivers relentless neon gore and pixelated chaos in a maze of crumbling urban decay and twisted corridors. When you fire up the Citadel, you are thrown headfirst into a maelstrom of neon gore and retro chaos. You race down a narrow, dim-lit corridor where walls drip digital blood and graffiti shouts, "Welcome, martyr!" as you barrel past rusted pipes and crumbling concrete. All right, let's see what you got. rings out as you duck under a barrage of projectile fire, with clashing metal and explosive bursts turning every step into a nail-biting dance between survival and annihilation. Axe-wielding cultists lunge from the shadows, only to be met with a wild spray of upgraded weaponry and absurd, cartoonish screams. The experience transforms every encounter into a cascade of pixelated giblets, as if the game's design winks at you, a nostalgic FPS fan. With adrenaline surging, you press forward and leap over a bottomless pit spewing digital lava, while the Citadel's twisted charm draws you deeper into its dark, humorous heart. Ion Fury is a retro-inspired shooter built on the Build engine, combining classic Doom-like gameplay with modern polish for fast-paced, intense action and nostalgic charm. When Ion Fury boots up, you dive into a digital storm of retro chaos. Neon flashes burst across the screen as you sprint down a crumbling hallway, each step shaking loose debris. Dodging a hail of bullets, you can feel the adrenaline spike with every rapid-fire shot. "Time to show these pixel punks who's boss!" echoes as you fire your shotgun with precision, each blast sending sparks and shattered metal flying. A swarm of cybernetic goons charges in, and you pivot sharply, sliding under a low-hanging beam with the shout, "Not today, scum!" Rockets launch, and their explosions splatter a kaleidoscope of color and gore across the corridor. The chaos unfolds as a relentless dance of lead and digital carnage, with every ruined corridor concealing new threats. The heavy bass of the soundtrack pulses in sync with your heartbeat as you press forward with calculated madness, intercepting a stray enemy that lunges from behind a broken console, sending it reeling into a wall of flickering neon. "Retro mayhem never felt so fresh," you quip as the barrage morphs the level into a labyrinth of danger and defiant energy, leaving you fully immersed in every brutal, pixel-perfect moment. Strap in. If that digital storm left you buzzing, a realm of dark magic and ancient curses is next in line. Amid Evil is a dark fantasy shooter that pays homage to classics like Doom and Heretic, fusing atmospheric level design, mystic weaponry, and supernatural elements for a uniquely immersive retro experience. When you load Amid Evil, you find yourself standing at the threshold of a crumbling, rune-inscribed temple, where dark corridors beckon like whispers of forgotten gods. With a champion's axe in hand and your heart pounding in anticipation of ancient battle, you charge into the flickering gloom. The narrow corridors come alive with pulsing arcane symbols and twisting shadows that seem to breathe malice. Spectral foes surge from hidden alcoves, prompting you to duck under a sweeping blade of energy and unleash your magic staff, sending a homing orb to pin a nearby wraith to an ancient pillar with a burst of raw soul energy. "Time to pay up, demons!" echoes off the ancient stone as you pivot and leap. The corridor erupts in chaotic energy, a vibrant clash of blood red and ghostly blue light that transforms every step into a dance with death. Ahead, a towering sentinel clad in twisted armor blocks your path, its eyes blazing with unholy fire. Activating soul mode, your weapons flare with raw power, and in that split second, the sentinel staggers as you press forward. "Let's see if you can stand against this fury," the temple seems to dare, drawing you deeper into its infernal embrace. Warhammer Vermintide 2, set in the grim Warhammer universe, is a cooperative shooter where you and your teammates face relentless hordes of Skaven and chaos, blending strategic teamwork with brutal, visceral combat. When Warhammer Vermintide 2 launches, the battlefield erupts into chaos in a dark, grim world overrun by Skaven and blood-soaked horror. You grip your Warhammer tight and charge into melee combat, and the rallying cry, "Time to crush these vermin!" echoes as you barrel through a narrow, crumbling alley. The clash of steel and frantic squeals fills the air as each swing delivers a satisfying crunch against a Skaven's hide. As a Chaos Marauder lunges from behind a shattered wall, you pivot, duck low, and counter with a sweeping blow that sends the foe stumbling. "Not on my watch!" rings out as adrenaline surges with every strike. The battlefield explodes with frantic energy while your teammates cover your flank, and you slide briefly behind a makeshift barricade before rolling aside to dodge a volley of arrows and sprinting back into the fray. Every moment bursts with raw power as you leap over debris, and every hammer strike scatters clusters of vermin into the dirt, with each cry of defiance fueling the relentless assault on this storm of blood and steel. If that cooperative carnage gets your heart racing, prepare for a modern arena where legends are born. Quake Champions is a modern revival of the classic Quake arena shooter by id Software, delivering fast-paced multiplayer action in neon-lit battlegrounds with precision combat and high-energy competition. In Quake Champions, champions spawn into a dazzling neon-lit arena where every second is a rush, a blur of shotguns, railguns, and rapid movement. You dart between shattered walls and flickering energy barriers, and explosive gunfire slices through foes in instantaneous bursts. Mirror-like floors amplify the chaos with ricocheting bullets and scorching energy blasts, while agile maneuvers and precise shots create a symphony of old-school shooter madness reimagined in modern neon. "Time to own this arena!" is shouted as rivals lock eyes in a high-stakes race, and every "catch me if you can" echoes through gravity-defying twists and turns. Get ready, the competitive intensity of Quake Champions is just a warm-up for what comes next. Strafe is a fast-paced, roguelike shooter that channels the chaotic energy of 90s FPS classics with neon-infused levels, unpredictable action, and explosive kinetic gameplay. When you fire up Strafe, you are immediately dropped into a neon-bathed corridor pulsing with raw, kinetic energy. The level transforms into a living nightmare of ever-changing rooms, each dripping with digital gore. You slam forward, rocket jumping between precarious platforms as splatters of enemy blood flash beneath your feet. Time to tear through this madness! Is barked as you switch to a modified shotgun that unleashes wide arcs of death. In a tight chamber, shadows twist into monstrous forms as zombies, robots, and alien scrappers converge with relentless fury. You duck under a barrage of projectile fire and weave through chaos, shouting, "Catch me if you can!" as your eyes lock on clusters of enemies at the far end of the room. A volley of explosive rounds is unleashed, watching as foes implode in a burst of undying red. Every step becomes a gamble. Every corner hides a fresh horror. You sprint into a corridor where a rogue merchant hovers, offering sinister upgrades that promise to transform your arsenal into an unholy murder machine. Snatching a power-up, you feel a surge of overclocked energy infuse your weapon, turning each shot into a cataclysm. The floor shudders with every relentless advance as you dive headfirst into another room, the neon-lit walls reflecting every move in a maddening kaleidoscope of violence. Strafe's brutal, unpredictable mayhem leaves you grinning as you carve a bloody path through the abyss. If that chaotic ballet got you pumped, you're in for a true test of reflexes next. Devil Daggers is a minimalist, brutally challenging shooter renowned for its relentless pace and stark retro aesthetic. A pure test of reflexes in a hellish, unforgiving arena. When you fire up Devil Daggers, the game launches you into a hellish void. A dark, unforgiving arena lit only by the erratic glow of demonic daggers and strobing neon accents. The eerie silence before the storm shatters as carnage erupts. Rapid, jerky movements send digital blades slicing through swarms of grotesque, pixelated fiends that surge in relentless waves. Every frantic scramble for survival intensifies as the arena bellows, "Not today, you abominations!" Power-ups flash like desperate miracles on the cold floor, and every second becomes a test of your agility. The pace accelerates until the arena transforms into a maelstrom of pain, fury, and pure adrenaline, challenging you to keep fighting against overwhelming odds. Ziggurat is a magic-fueled, retro-inspired shooter that blends fast-paced FPS action with spell casting in ancient, labyrinthine corridors, offering a unique twist on the Doom formula. When you load Ziggurat, you immediately feel the pull of ancient, crumbling corridors bathed in eerie neon. Dropped into a labyrinth of jagged stone and flickering magical energy, a retro nightmare brought to life in brutal, pixelated glory. The call to tear through these cursed halls echoes throughout the maze. With an arcane rifle in hand, you dash down twisting corridors where the walls vibrate with mysterious runes, while a pounding soundtrack mirrors the rapid beat of your heart as goblin-esque fiends burst from shadowy alcoves. A burst of arcane bolts lights the darkness in crimson and violet, splattering grotesque bursts of gore across ancient walls and painting the maze in violent art. A glowing pedestal reveals a secret upgrade shimmering in the gloom, sending an electric surge through your weapon as you exclaim, "That's the juice I needed!" Unpredictable twists force you to jump, duck, and slide through relentless attacks, carving a bloody path deeper into mysterious depths. And finally, number 1 in our top. Hard Reset is a cyberpunk FPS that plunges players into a dystopian future of neon, metal, and digital carnage, delivering explosive, high-octane action with a Doom-inspired spirit. When you boot up Hard Reset, you are immediately plunged into a dystopian storm of metal and mayhem. Neon lights smear across ruined skyscrapers while a relentless synth beat drives every heartbeat. Clutching your plasma rifle tight, you charge forward, each step a calculated risk as you deftly dodge a barrage of laser fire. The air is thick with the stench of burnt circuitry and scorched flesh as cybernetic monstrosities tear through the chaos. After a quick reload behind a shattered concrete wall, the level twists into a labyrinth of crumbling urban decay. Narrow corridors flanked by flickering holograms and shattered glass. Explosions ripple through the darkness like bursts of static, each one illuminating the twisted figures of your foes. Mid-run, you switch fire modes, and a searing burst of plasma slices through a group of mechanical fiends. "Not on my watch!" roars through neon-lit alleys as a massive, hulking cyborg looms into view, sparks flying from its damaged armor, and you seize the moment, unleashing a rocket that explodes in a blinding flash of red and blue. Every shot becomes a battle cry against a relentless future, and every explosion paints the city in vivid strokes of violent beauty. The surge of energy in Hard Reset proves that every second counts and every victory is hard-won. Wow, what a ride. This countdown has taken you through a world of digital carnage and retro brutality. From the post-apocalyptic demolition of Rage 2 to the relentless cyber assault of Hard Reset, You have witnessed neon-lit mayhem, ancient curses, and demolition derbies that would make Doom proud. Each game on this list has pushed the boundaries of what a Doom-inspired shooter can be, mixing unfiltered action, pixelated nostalgia, and a heavy dose of tongue-in-cheek humor. What's your favorite Doom-like shooter? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this countdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more offbeat gaming adventures. Until next time, keep your trigger finger ready and your eyes on the horizon. In a world of pixelated carnage and relentless mayhem, sometimes it's good to let the chaos reign. Thanks for watching. Sometimes being a little less human is exactly what you need to conquer the digital battlefield.